Board of Directors meeting for the Fair Oaks Recreation and Park District. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join us.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Jennifer, if you could please do the roll call.
Director Carhart.
Here.
Director Irwin.
Here.
Director O'Farrell.
Here.
Director Mounts.
Here.
Director Tamani.
Here.
All present.
Okay, so item number 4 for tonight is presentations, proclamations, and recognition. I don't see any on our agenda. Is there anything, Mike, that you'd like to talk about tonight?
I don't have any, thank you.
Okay, so we will move to item number 5, which is audience, public comment on non-agenda items. So if there is an item that is not on the agenda but you would like to speak, please use the chat feature that we have here. You'll see it at the bottom of your screen, and let us know if you'd like to talk. We do have, there was some correspondence that was sent to the board prior to the meeting, and I'm not sure if the individuals who submitted this information, or these correspondence, if they are here tonight, but I would like it to be read into the record.
Hey, Melinda, just real quick, I think I made a slight mistake on that one. It is actually addressing the art issue that is on the agenda. So I do have it slated to be read at that point in time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there are any, is there anyone else that would like, is there anyone that would like to speak on a non-agenda item? I don't see anyone in the chat. Oh, yep, I see one. So Renee Nitz, if you could please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address the board, and you will be unmuted in just this moment.
Hi, I'm Renee Nitz. I'm on Pennsylvania Avenue, 4645 Pennsylvania, Fair Oaks. And the only thing I want to say is that I hope that we can somehow resurrect the art and keep it in place. And if not, maybe an opportunity for Hugh to paint something else. I mean, that was a lot of work. I hope he wouldn't have to redo that. And it seems, I know this is, I just learned today that this is Measure J, and this is part of Measure J. And I wasn't aware that, you know, whether or not we vote for Measure J or not, I wasn't aware that the art was even in danger of coming down. I just learned about it a couple days ago. So I'd like for the art to stay.
Okay, thank you, Renee. And we will address the mural later in tonight's meeting too.
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you for speaking up. We appreciate it. I always like hearing from everyone. So thank you. I also see that Mr. Leon Korokos would like to speak. Oh, Leon, you're
unmute Leon.
All right, give me one moment. Let me unmute him. All right, Leon.
I got it. I think I'm unmuted. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Hey, so this is a question about the theater itself. It's not really about the art at this point. When all this money gets put into the theater to make it bigger and better, will the person who holds the keys to the theater now, I don't know, Barbara, is that her name? I mean, will she still have this annual contract, or will other people be able to propose to put on shows or events at the theater without having to get her, you know, to sign off on that?
Leon, the theater, we own that building, and we contracted out to the Fair Oaks Theater Festival. Obviously, our plan is for this to have a much larger footprint. So, I mean, we are definitely open to more community partners, more options, more opportunities. I mean, we are really building this facility for our community. And I know the board is very eager to see lots of options being used for this space, lots of options being used for renovations. In fact, we paid for a study to help us come up with additional ideas and options. So of course we want to see it get the absolute most use that it possibly can.
Right. But to my question, because I looked into that before, and because she was contracted, I guess annually, she, you know, the theater festival people have the ultimate say in who else can use that. Will that continue to be the process?
Leon, I think the simple answer is this, John O'Farrell. The simple answer is we will review the contract with the theater company, and based upon what the business plan, the new business plan shows, I would presume that there would be a lot more opportunity for independent folks to be able to contract to use the amphitheater.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Leon. So if there are no more public comment on non-agenda items, we will move to item number 6, approval of agenda.
Linda, can you hold on for just 1 second? I just want to make a quick announcement for those of us who are on the phone.
Yes.
For anybody who's calling into the meeting tonight, if you'd like to make a comment, you need to press *9 to raise your hand, and that will alert me that you want to make a comment, especially going on right now. And then once we do that, then I'll be able to unmute you. So again, that's *9 if you're on the phone.
Perfect, thank you. So *9 if you're on the phone to make a comment. Item number 6, approval of tonight's agenda. I would like to move that we take item number 9.5 and move it to our October board meeting, because staff is still acquiring information. And I think we could have a fuller and more productive conversation on that agenda item if we do it in October rather than talking about it tonight.
Motion to approve the agenda minus item number 9.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing that there are none, we will move to item number 7, the consent calendar. Are there any questions? Do we have a motion?
I saw a note. You might, for the new people coming on, let them know that we do have an item for the art and the theater, and if they want to talk, that opportunity has not been precluded yet.
Yes, that's true. We will be speaking about the art and the mural in the theater soon as we get through these introductory items. So don't worry, everyone will have a chance. Do you have any questions about the consent calendar or a motion for the consent calendar?
Approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, since there are none, we are going to move to item 8.1, which is discussion and possible action regarding naming the park on Swallow Way. So I believe Katie Koss has a board report for us, or staff report, I should say.
I do. Thank you, Delinda. My name is Katie Koss. I'm the recreation superintendent for the district. Just for those members of the public that weren't at the meeting last month, this item was requested to be pushed to this month so we could have all 5 board members present so we could get John's vote. So I'm going to go briefly through the board report and let you guys know that we did do an outreach campaign to get community feedback on the naming of what we currently call Swallow Way Park. If you don't know, that's in the neighborhood directly next to Curra Downs, off of Hazel, off of Lake Nimbus Drive, I believe. So that's just right now a vacant plot of land. So we're going to be building a park there and looking to get community feedback on the naming of that park. So we did do a pretty widespread outreach in terms of the internet, social media, webpage, email blast to all of our people in registration software. And we also had a pop-out event out at the site on a very hot day. So we got some really good feedback, had some really good chats with the neighbors, and were able to share the proposed design for that park, which was really great. So attachment A is the list of names that we went over last meeting. But before we go into discussion about those names, I have a few items that were submitted as public comment between the last meeting and tonight's meeting that I have been asked to read as a matter of public comment. So please bear with me as I read through these comments. Number one is from Ramey Osborne, who used to be a board member for the Fair Oaks Recreation and Park District. And he said, "Good afternoon, Mike. I am writing you my endorsement for the naming of the vacant land on Lake Nimbus Drive and Swallow Way. The two names I would like to endorse would be Jim Strang Park or Carhart Park. Both have given so much to our community. I could write a book on why these two Fair Oaks citizens deserve the honor of recognizing their accomplishments for our community. I would be happy to meet with you or have a phone conversation regarding the naming of the future park." So that is comment number one from Ramey Osborne. Number two,
Incidentally, Katie, I've already indicated that I'm not one of those. I appreciate the honor, but I'm not in the contention, even though I was on the list.
All right, thank you, Ralph. The next comment is from a name I'm sure you'll recognize, Roger Nilo. Roger Nilo stated, "Dear directors, as you can tell by my lighthearted RE line above, which said Swallow Way crossed out Jim Strang Park," that's his subject line, "I write in favor of naming the currently interim named Swallow Way Park to Jim Strang Park. I am personally interested in this because I live in Curragh Downs, adjacent to the neighborhood where the park exists. Also, Jim has been a good friend for many years. More importantly, Jim has been a very productive and contributing member of our community. He had a very successful residential development career, building many distinctive Strang homes in Sacramento County. Jim then went on to publicly serve our county as a county supervisor. He has further served our community in many other endeavors. This would be a very fitting gesture to an accomplished and modest man. He does not seek recognition, but I would very much like to see him so recognized. His surprise and gratitude alone would be worth the naming action. Also of note, he lives in the Bluffs, which is adjacent to Curragh Downs, so very close to the park's location. I thank you for your hopefully favorable consideration. Sincerely, Roger Nilo." Number three comes from another name you'll recognize, Roberta McGlashan, and her subject line, RE naming the new park at Hazel and Swallow Way, Fair Oaks. "Hello, Ralph. I absolutely support your proposal to name the park Strang Park. My dilemma is that right now I cannot send a letter. We have a plumbing emergency and I literally cannot get to my computer and printer right now, and probably not before 9/16. I can send an email from my phone if you can supply the email addresses." And that was from Roberta McGlashan. Number four is from Maggie Cox. Subject line, Strang Park. "Ralph, Roger forwarded your email to me about the naming of the new park on Swallow Way. I heartily agree with the suggestion to name it Strang Park. Jim is a wonderful person who has toiled tirelessly on behalf of the Fair Oaks and its residents. And the fact that he lives nearby is a bonus. I told Roger I'd write in support, but totally forgot. I believe I heard yesterday on either the radio or television that your board meets tonight. Having insufficient time to write a formal letter is unfortunate. Please therefore consider this email as my strong support of the suggestion. It is well deserved. Sincerely, Maggie Cox." I believe our last submission is from another name that you'll recognize in our board meetings, Amy Larson, who was a part of the team to get Swallow Way Park off and running. And she is also on the Bond Oversight Committee. Subject line, regular meeting of the Fair Oaks Recreation and Park District Board of Directors. "Hi, Jennifer. I want to submit the following comment for tonight's board meeting. In regards to item 8.1, the naming of Swallow Way Park, I wanted to provide this input from the Curragh Downs community and surrounding neighbors via our neighborhood Facebook page. I asked the following question. At the last FORPD board meeting, the list of community name suggestions for the park in Swallow Way was shared. It was a long list and there wasn't really any favorite or consensus. I'm not thrilled by any, so don't care too strongly. I had suggested Little Hazel Park. A few of the board members thought it should just be left Swallow Way Park, but others thought that would seem insensitive to those that suggested names. One board member the one that was most important to the park campaign felt that Jim Strang Park should be strongly considered. I believe Jim still lives in the Bluffs and is bipartisan. Here is more information on him. She provided a link. If you had to vote between Swallowway Park and Jim Strang Park, which would you prefer? And these are her answers from the community. 4 neighbors said Swallowway Park directly, plus 1 Swallowway Park added on. I'm not sure how many other folks are on there like me that are not technically Curragh Downs HOA members. But we live on Lake Nimbus or Swallowway. No matter what, we're all neighbors and thrilled to see this come to fruition. Next comment, I think Little Hazel is great, but between Swallow and Strang, Swallow. Next comment, I think recognizing Jim Strang is a great idea. Yes, he is alive and living in the Bluffs. We were told that, unbelievably, he was turned down by his HOA when he volunteered his time as a fill-in for the Horticultural Committee. Maybe just call it Strang Park. Next comment, I like Little Hazel best, but if I had to pick between the other 2, Jim Strang Park. Next comment, Swallowway Park will let people know where the park is located instead of wondering where Jim Strang Park is. Next comment, 1 vote for Strang Park. The man has led a remarkable life here in Sacramento and has contributed a lot to you toward preservation of the American River Bike Trail, mid-century modern architecture, etc. I guess I always feel that a life well lived should be recognized. Next comment. I like Swallowway Park only because I think that geographic name places make it easier to meet up, and parks are for meeting once COVID is behind us. Next comment. I like Swallow Park too. I'm assuming they mean Swallowway Park. While I understand the desire to honor people, I think those names are much harder to remember and to feel connected with. Final comment, Little Fair Oaks Park. Thank you, Amy Larson. And those are all of our comments. So as you go back to the agenda item, you will be able to see the list in attachment A, which covers pretty much all of those names mentioned and a few additional names. And I leave it up for discussion.
So if I may chime in, I solicited from Roberta and Roger their comments on that. None of the others, and I was very interested to see Maggie, chose to go that way too, rather than honoring her late husband. I just wanted to point out when Jim Strang was on the Board of Supervisors, that's when we became a independent district, thanks to the action of the Board of Supervisors, and I'm sure Jim played some role in that. Also, Ramey, as the developer of the Phoenix Field development, the old airport, I was on the CPAC then, and Jim was on the council, on the Board of Supervisors. And that's when, as a CPAC, we suggested highly in our recommendations that a park be included in the development rather than accepting fees. And we put that in our recommendation. Subsequently, the park board chose to do Little Phoenix Park. Interestingly, they talked about calling that Carhart Park because I was a big proponent of that, but Jim got it done. So I just want to say, aside from everything else, I know that Jim does not have any enemies or detractors. Although he was in nonpartisan political office, he's never been a partisan. So I admit to being strongly behind that name. I'm guilty.
Thank you, Ralph. I worked with Strang for a number of years. As you know, I was deputy county executive when he was also on the Board of Supervisors, and I was also the LAFCO executive officer who made the recommendation for the Fair Oaks Park District to go from dependent to independent. So, and I worked with Strang in his office on doing that stuff. Prior to this discussion tonight, I was quite content with calling it Swallowway Park, but because of the interest and the respect that all these former leaders and different community members have for Jim Strang, and I have that same respect, I would move to name the park either Strang Park or Jim Strang Park.
I would certainly be honored to second that.
Do we have any other board comments or discussion before we take a vote?
I would just say that it's great that we have these electeds that have chimed in, but I think, again, the majority of people have not, in the community, not chosen Jim Strang. So I do think that's something to note, that the majority of the community members of the list that Katie read, as well as the survey that was conducted, was Swallow Way. So I just want that to be noted, that that was the majority comparatively to the compelling electeds statements.
Belinda, it
Yeah,
looks
I noticed on our list, it says it was an online suggestion. I don't know who the one was that did that. It was not me, but it really popped out as premier to me.
I see that Joe Maloney has would like to speak. Can we unmute him, please?
Well, thank you. I of course would support Jim, but that's not the issue. I want to thank the board for making sure that the park was outside the homeowners' boundaries. And that, I think, is really important. And it's not just part of the homeowners association. So kudos to you.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the name of the park?
You know, I'll just add that, you know, prior to this discussion and hearing all these different community leaders make their comments, that I was sort of with Director O'Farrell's opinion of Swallow Way Park. But I think it's important, and it sends a pretty big message that all these people that have had a long history of making things happen within the community have come out almost in unison to support Jim Strang. And I've never met Jim Strang. I've heard his name, but I would be in full support after learning what I've learned in the last, 15 minutes to support something to those, Strang Park or Jim Strang Park.
I'm convinced as well. So I think let's take a vote. All in favor.
Delinda, I have one
Yes.
more thing to
Oh,
add before
yes,
the
please.
vote, and that is this, that I want to also thank Supervisor Susan Peters. I want to thank the Mike Penrose, the head of transportation, county transportation, because it was in meetings with them that they agreed to give us this property for Swallow Way Park that was previously up for sale for something like $180,000, I believe. It didn't get a bid on it, and they graciously offered this to the Park District. We wisely, I believe, accepted it with a lot of support from the community and the neighborhood. So I want to thank those people. That's why we have this park.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the ribbon cutting. It's been a project in the works for quite some time. So, okay. So shall we take a vote? All in favor of the motion to name the park Jim Strang Park?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right. We have 4 in favor, 1 opposed, and we will move on. Thank you, everyone, for your
Thank you,
comments.
directors.
Yes. Okay, so the next item that we have, we're going to move into our regular agenda item. So the first one is item 9.1, which is discussion and possible action on recommendation for artwork in Plaza Park. And I know we have quite a few people that are in attendance tonight because of this agenda item. So what I'm proposing, the way that we manage this, is that we're going to have staff present the board report, and then staff will read any public comments they have received from individuals who may not be present tonight, or that they received prior to the meeting. Then we will open it for public comment. Again, please state your name, address, and be mindful that you have 3 minutes, because we have a lot of people and we don't want to be here all night. But we definitely want to hear from you. So after we do the public comment, then we will have board discussion. So I'd like to turn it over to Mike.
Thank you all. I'm going to show a couple of pictures here first. So I'm going to share my screen. And so everybody, I think mostly everybody knows what pieces of art we're talking about, but just for the record, I want to show these. The one you're seeing now on your screen is the mosaic, and that is in Plaza Park on the ground, located on the ground, just in the front of the amphitheater. And the other piece of art is the mural alongside the amphitheater that Hugh Gorman created. Hugh Gorman created both of these pieces of art. So I want to give a little bit of report here on the current conditions of the building. This is not in the staff report, just going to give some background, and then we can take it off from there. But the building was built in the 1970s, early 1970s, and it's in dire need of repair. I don't think anybody can argue that piece right there. It's a wood frame structure, and it's reached its life expectancy a number of years ago. If we do work on that facility, we have to bring it up to ADA standards. And we do have this report here, which you can't see. It's 87 pages long of ADA improvements that have to be made to the theater upon any kind of renovation that we do. And that report was commissioned in 2011. And so we're continually working on that, trying to improve our ADA. And that was one of the primary reasons, obviously, for Measure J as well. In the current situation it's in, there's not enough storage for the scenery and the actors and actresses while they're in the plays. Those storage areas are the same as the pass-throughs for the actors and actors at the stage. There's no backstage heating or air conditioning, so in the summers it can get incredibly hot back there. There's no separate dressing rooms for the men or women or the children, so they all have to dress in a common area. There's one restroom back there, obviously not men or women's. And when they are changing into costume, they're sharing that space with the technicians, the backstage people, the sound equipment, and sometimes even the scenery. The backstage bathrooms, they are not ADA compatible. Neither is the access to the stage itself. So anybody who has a disability who wants to perform does not have access to our theater in its current condition. I'm going to share with you right now the plan so everybody can see what the plan looks like for the current plan for the theater. What you're seeing here is the actual inside of the theater, kind of an overhead view of the inside of the theater. And this is, again, the plan for the remodel, the renovation of the theater. The black area here that you're seeing, that is the actual stage right here, and including the new additions back here. And I'll go over those new additions in a minute. We've added in the plan the ADA seating. You can see it here, 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 and here in the theater. This is actually allows, it meets the needs and the number of ADA seating for this size of facility. It is not expanding the seating at all. It's actually reducing the numbers of seats that we have available to the public. So the theater is not getting larger. It's staying at the same size, actually shrinking just a little bit because of the ADA issues. The front of the stage here is still open like it is currently to the public, or to the air. Open. It is an open air theater still. Outside right here, this is out here is Plaza Park, and this is the main part of the village over here off the plan. This little area right here is a public stage, an outside public stage for public performances, kind of pop-up public performances, if you will. Just kind of a random type of thing, not quite as structured as everything that happens inside the theater or that happens on our larger stage on the other park or village park. It's also going to be a place for us to be able to put the Christmas tree in the winter, get it up off the ground and put it out there, be a real center point for the Christmas tree. And then it allows community events to utilize that stage as an announcement platform as we do community events out here in Plaza Park. This also is creating ADA access here in the front. So this is a door going into what's a lobby up here. You'll see a picture of it a little bit later. But there's stairs going up and then the ADA entrance into that entrance of the lobby area for this bigger facility. This black area right here can be enclosed in the winter months. So this entire area becomes a community space accessible from this part. So they don't have to go through here and around and then into the facility. We keep this closed off, yet we allow community access through here to be able to utilize these facilities year round, and with a variety of different options in it, including small productions and also rentals and programs, art programs, music programs, a variety of different things like that. So it really opens up the ability for us to provide those kinds of activities for the community and with the community. This gives you a little view of the inside of that theater building. Here's the stage right here again. When this door closes, it becomes a community room. This space right here becomes a community room, accessible again from the outside over here. This hallway right here opens up to these multi-purpose rooms. There's 3 different multi-purpose rooms here with walls that are movable or open. You can open these up and make them one medium-sized room and one small room, or 3 small rooms. And for the theater itself, it gives a place for the actresses and actors to have separate dressing rooms. There's sinks here, counters here for them to do makeup, the dressing, and things like that. It also gives them bathrooms here and bathrooms here, accessible from the inside of the facility. These bathrooms out here in the middle are accessible from the park. They now created bathrooms for the Plaza Park. Currently, there are no bathrooms in Plaza Park. This puts bathrooms in Plaza Park, and we put bathrooms inside the facility. Right here, as I mentioned, is the lobby that you enter in from the outside. So the actors and actresses now have the ability to pass all the way through here, onto the stage, around to here, to backstage, and the different wings for entrances and exits as are required for theater productions. And all of those facilities, again, are ADA compatible. This area right here is the outdoor stage, as I mentioned. This is the one that faces Plaza Park. And again, it has the ADA access that's required for that facility. And here's the rendering of the drawing of the actual facility itself. There's the stage, the outside stage, the entrance for the lobby. This area here is reserved space for public art, art that has yet to be determined. The board will work through that, I am sure, on how to select the artist and what kind of art will go there. But it is public art, and we have 2 platforms for that on this facility. And we'll have other platforms around the park for art as well, for participation from our local artists or even national and regional artists, depending on what the board decides they want to do with it. But this gives you a good visual of what that part of this looks like. This is the side facing the brew pub, the current side where the mural is right now on it. So you're looking at that side right here. And this is the far side of it with a loading dock for the stages and things like that, and the materials that we have to bring into the facility. So that's on the far side on Park Avenue. So that's the overall view of the facility. And I'll get on now to the staff report now that I've given that overview. What we're asking for is for the board to authorize the district administrator to initiate the process of having the mural on the Veterans Memorial Amphitheater wall and the ground-mounted mosaic in Plaza Park removed or destroyed in preparation for the renovations of the Veterans Memorial Amphitheater and Village Park, Plaza Park renovation. A quick background on this, that mural was put on the building, the current building, about 35 years ago by local artist and resident Hugh Gorman in 1985, so that's 35 years ago. It was renovated in 1997, And the Mosaic was created by Hugh Gorman also in 1999. On April 29th, 2008, the Fair Oaks Theater Association proposed a major renovation and reconstruction of the main stage structure, which would have caused the destruction or removal of the mural, but due to funding issues, the work was not done. At that time, it was reported, the theater stage area is significantly outdated and in need of attention, which includes repairs to the roofing and the exterior of the structure, which serves as the wall in which Hugh Gorman's mural is painted. In February of 2009, the Fair Oaks Recreation and Park Board directed staff to investigate what legal steps would be required to remove the mural from the amphitheater wall. The board directed staff to contact legal counsel and get a review of the steps required. A summary of that is, there are two laws that affect us in the possible removal of the art. First is a state law, the California Art Preservation Act. And I'm summarizing here, if the art cannot be removed from the building without damage to the art or the building, the artist is deemed to have waived his or her rights under the act. But if the art can be removed from the building without damage, the building owner must attempt to notify the artist of the impending destruction. The artist then has 90 days to remove the art or cause the art to be removed at his own expense. If the artist removes the art, title to the art passes to the artist. If the artist fails to remove the art within the 90-day period, then the building owner, that would be the park district, must provide 30 days notice to the public of its intended action affecting the work of art. If within that 30-day period, a nonprofit corporation or association involved with the arts agrees to remove the work of art and pay the cost of the removal of the work, then the organization may remove the work, which must be accomplished at the organization's cost within 60 days after the expiration of the 30-day notice. And then the title would revert back to that entity that removed the art. If nobody can remove the art or chooses not to remove the art, then the building owner may remove the art. The federal law, the Federal Visual Artists' Rights Act of 1990, states if a work of art has been incorporated into a building in such a way that its removal would cause destruction of the work, then the artist's rights of integrity to prevent destruction or alteration of the art will apply unless waived by the artist. The artist will be deemed to have waived his or her rights if the artist consented to the installation of the art before June 1st, 1991, unless an installation contract stated otherwise. The current plan for the renovation of the Veterans Memorial Theater and Village Park Plaza was approved by the board on April 15, 2020. That plan was developed after a community outreach campaign that was done from May through July 2019. That outreach had 6 public participation meetings. 5 of those meetings were held in the park itself, and the 6th one was held across the street at the Brew Pub, across the street from the mural. The summary of that outreach campaign is attached to this board report as attachment A. The current approved plan, which I just showed you, for renovation of the Village Plaza Park and the amphitheater requires the removal of the mural and the mosaic. To determine if the art pieces can be moved, staff was directed by the board to investigate the possibility of removing the 2 art pieces and having them relocated. On July 23rd, 2020, KIS Construction provided the district with a cost estimation to remove the art for possible relocation. The estimation for removal of the mural is $240,000 and the mosaic $90,000 for a total of $330,000, with no guarantee provided that the art pieces would not be damaged or destroyed during removal. This cost estimation does not include any cost associated with reinstalling the art. To continue working on this project, staff will need board approval to have legal counsel review and update the steps necessary to have the 2 art pieces removed and allow the district administrator to follow legal counsel's advice for the removal of the 2 art pieces. The financial analysis of this is the cost for the legal counsel to review and update a legal opinion on the removal of the public art. We did receive some public comment, and I will read those and go from there. First one dated September 11th, 2020. Dear Park Board members, it It has come to our attention that some members of the community are unhappy about the planned destruction of the mural on the amphitheater. It will be too bad to lose this piece of art. However, the theater is benefiting by the remodeling of the stage, so it will have actual dressing rooms and restrooms. We look forward to improved productions and concerts, which our community will all enjoy. After the approval by the voters of Measure J, the Park District held many community input meetings. This issue should have been brought up then, not now as plans are in their final forms. As a separate note, the Rotary Arbor will also be taken down, but this organization is working with the Park District for an appropriate replacement. A suggestion would be a photograph taken of the mural and placed in a prominent place where its memory could be honored. Sincerely yours, Warren and Janet McWilliams. An email was received September 16, 2020, and from Lois Frazier, and it says, "Hi, Mike." Lois Frazier was actually from, this is actually from Paula Lucas, who received a call from Lois Frazier, and she has quoted Lois Frazier as saying, "From Macbeth, what's done is done and cannot be undone." End of comment. And then I see I have Joe Maloney here. Joe, I do have a letter here. Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it? I didn't know if you'd be here or not.
Yes, I'm here, and I would think you won't want to bore people because they all got it, and the board members, and I can highlight it during my 3 minutes, okay?
Yeah, I'll leave that entirely up to you, but I do have it here ready to read it.
Your time, everybody's kind of concerned about how late this is going to go and stuff, and so I do want to speak about our perspective, okay, on this.
All right, and then that's all. That's the end of the public comment then that I have received.
Okay, so I'd like to open it up to anyone who is attending tonight that would like to speak. I've been trying to watch the chat on the side, and I saw the first person that popped up was Paul Spector. Mr. Spector is still here and would like to speak. Please state your address, and you have 3 minutes to talk.
Oh, here. Now you're.
I've got 3 minutes to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Paul Spector.
Address.
My address is 4600 Dietz Way. I've lived here for 36 years, and I've been a supporter of the art programs that have taken place in Fair Oaks and the theater program. I don't quite understand what's driving the feeling of manifest destiny that we have to have more money put into the theater of a significant amount. I go to the theater regularly, and it doesn't seem as though they're, if they need more space, allocate some, but it seems we're going overboard. It seems also to me that we're not taking into consideration the resident artists that we have that created these two pieces of art. I'm blown away by the price that's $300,000 to remove them, and I'm glad that we've taken a look at that price. I wish we had taken into consideration preserving the art when we put together plans for the expansion of the theater. It looks to me as though keeping this artwork was a fait accompli. It was going to be gone. And I think it gives us, I think it's a distinctive piece for Fair Oaks. It's our personality, it's our heritage. And
Why do we need more theater?
I'm at a loss as to why so much theater is being driven, and I guess that's basically it. I enjoy it, but that's a lot of money going into the development, And I think Jim Strang is a great guy, but listening to what you guys talked about with the naming, I don't know how we named it Strang. You had all this public saying the other way, all the people there. And that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spector. I appreciate your comments and joining us tonight. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Leon Corcus. If you would like to speak on the art in the village?
I would. Am I coming through?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I have a nutty idea. I kind of talked to Mike about it this morning when I ran into him. When they tore down the Berlin Wall, the wall became a sacred thing. And they sold chunks of it. They auctioned chunks of it. They put chunks of it on display. So why not take that approach? You know, if it's going to probably go, which it sounds like it is, why don't we show a little respect for it? Perhaps the artist can go and pick some things he thinks are really cool. Perhaps we can keep those in like 6 foot by 6 foot chunks somehow. And maybe in the park in the back, in the park in the front, you know, on display is this big concrete chunk of what was there. And there's a little plaque about it. Or you make smaller pieces and you give them to I don't know, people in the village that want it. Or you have an auction, and then the thousands of dollars that are raised from the auction go to a fund to make more artwork. I mean, it seems like it would be a very cool tribute to the guy who put all his time in. And I will be willing to donate $1,000 to help move the 6 foot by 6 foot piece wherever it's going to go in town. I'm done.
Thank you. And I appreciate your creativity too and innovation. That's one of the reasons I really like it when we have a lot of folks come to our meetings, because I really think when we put all of our heads together, I don't think the problem here is lack. Everyone wants art in the park. So thank you. Our next speaker for public comment would be Joe Maloney. Mr. Maloney.
All right, thank you again. I think I want to first say that there are some nice features about the building. I'm not just totally kind of being critical here. And also that it is a nice building, but I think, you know, a lot of us in this Zoom meeting have been on CPAC. And so I think, in fact, Mr. Irwin has been the last chair. Yeah, I think that's right. And I think we all need to approach it like it is another planning project. And so looking at it, I was really kind of concerned and see a misfit between on the integrity, the character lines of the two buildings. They just don't go together. And so my concerns is that maybe, and Jeannie's here too, she's the designer in the family, and maybe there's something that we don't know that forced you into this or something, but it seems that your consultants must have looked over the past FOVEC reports and your planning and the master plan and a lot of the things that have gone on. And you've probably been asked individually or on the board about what were you thinking of, what look were you thinking about towns and stuff like that. And so, I don't know, that to us, that's a real big concern. I think down the road, we might be regretting just doing something because we got some money. And so point number one. Point number two, I think the process part of this needs to be kind of revisited. And secondly on that is that there's a lot of tradition, a lot of participation foundations in this community. And I see some of these processes moving that we're going to go to a we and they kind of a situation. And there is different interests at the table, let's face it. But I would hate to see this town lose the participation base that we have had that has really made this community. And so I really want to stress that to you. It's an attitude, it's a philosophy, and I think we're in danger of losing that. I think there's slippage going on, if you want to call it that. The second is we have these big expansion, or third, excuse me, the big expansion plans, and everybody's looking at how we're going to get all these groups and where are you going to park? Again, back to CPAC, isn't that one of the questions we all used to ask? Where's the parking? And I have 10 spaces close by you, and I'm thinking they're already in my driveway. And so I think you got to answer that one. I think there was a beta test of using the Crestline Avenue well back when we had a real chicken festival. I think the Park District opened the gates and we're charging a little bit of money. And then I heard rumors that there was some negotiations. I think there was, Katie. And I think there was some negotiations going on too that need to be kind of talked about by all the groups. And a lot of people have parking problems in the village already. But are you looking at that we're going to be drawing more people in from outside? We're going to get a cash cow here from the people in Sacramento. Are we going to get a, Marysville, Yuba City? We'll bring them all in for these tribute band concerts and charge them. And then where do you put them? Where are they going to go?
Joe, thank you. That's your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, darn. I have some other points if you want to hear them, and I'd be glad to share them with you individually.
Okay.
And but thank you very much for your time, your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. And yes, you are always welcome, both at our meetings and to provide information and feedback back to us individually. So thank you.
Joe, Jeannie gets 3 minutes too,
Yes, she does. Next on our list, I see here Renee Nitz. I know you spoke earlier in the non-agenda time, but you had also raised some things in the chat. So I wanted to ask you if you'd like to speak for the 3 minute time period now.
Sure, yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm for saving the art if we can do that. Yeah, and I hear a lot about there were all these outreach events and stuff like that. It seems to me a lot of people didn't know about this and until recently. And so my question is, if you're going to have these outreach events, where's the best place for people to find out about those events? And it seems to me if you're in the area at the time, well, you're in luck, you can weigh in. If you're not, oh, well, hope to hear about it. And I did hear a lot of the board will decide. And so I agree with Joe, I feel like input is not really being considered here by the people who live here. And I like Leon's idea, but as a last resort, but don't ask us to pay for it. You guys got a lot of money. So if you're going to use that idea, don't ask us to pay for it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Nitz. I appreciate your time and for attending tonight. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? Oh, I see that we have Deanne Shep. Oh, I think you're still muted. There you go.
So my name's Andy, and this is my wife Deanne. We're at 3939 Bridge Street. We moved here in 2015. We've been listening, and I would just like to echo what Mr. Korokos said ideas were. There is probably a creative way that we can preserve this. But also, it sounds like the foregone conclusion is the building itself needs modernization, and in order to include the ADA factors, it sounds like we need to move forward and have a building that can provide value to the village, into the future. I also see a lot of value for local businesses. I understand the parking issues, and we would have to work around those, but I see the value for local businesses to have this performing art venue that can accommodate and provide that value for them. It's also an opportunity to showcase Fair Oaks, and I think Fair Oaks has a long history of, hosting events and bringing people in from Sacramento. I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. There's a lot going on in Fair Oaks. There's a lot of new businesses that need the support that this kind of infrastructure would provide. So I understand and appreciate art, but to me, it seems like there are too many benefits to outweigh this one issue. And so working around this in a creative way that still honors the artist that did this work seems to be the only way for us to move forward. And that's our opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanne. Thank you, Andy.
I want to thank the last speaker because I think he made some very, very salient points about, the only thing that's constant in this life is change. And I've lived here for 48 years, and I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for Fair Oaks to explode in a very positive way to support local businesses and bring new businesses in. And the Plaza Park Community Park is going to be the heart and the center of all this new activity. With all due respect to my friends Joe and Jeannie Maloney and others, I got to say that this is something that it's important, not necessarily for me, but for the people that are going to follow me, because this is going to grow and expand and be a wonderful place for a long time. And to Leon's credit, he's been a spark in the community too. Shangri-La, Brahma, the Olive Branch, all of those new places to go. Hooray for Fair Oaks, and hooray for the board for moving forward.
So I see it looks like we may have one more public comment, and that would be Kimberly Patillo. So Ms. Patillo.
We have one more. Patrick also raised their hand afterwards.
Oh, thank you.
Walter.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Patillo, the Executive Director of the Fair Oaks Chamber of Commerce, and I love all the ideas that are happening and all the new change that is happening to Fair Oaks. We definitely have to grow with the change, even though we love Fair Oaks as it being an eclectic little town, and we love that. I am a little bit in favor of how Leon was talking. I mean, I kind of think it would be cool if there was a way that we could possibly take some of the structures of the different paintings that we have and maybe put them in different locations of Fair Oaks, and maybe our community partners can be a part of maybe being a donator towards that item, and then they can have the items in different areas throughout Fair Oaks. I know downtown, the paintings are very famous downtown in Sacramento, and a lot of the younger kids and families love to go and take pictures in front of them. And maybe that could be a way that we can preserve that art and have people go around and take pictures in front of them, kind of like a scavenger hunt through Fair Oaks. Where are these different pieces throughout our community? I understand all the changes, and I look forward to the changes in the village, but maybe there's a way that part of our community partners can all be a part of somehow keeping some of those murals in our area, whether it be in different parks or in different parts of the village or pieces of it. That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
I just have a quick question for Kim. Kim, is there any sense, or talking to the various chamber members on this plan, have they been generally in favor, or has there been much comment from the chamber members?
Honestly, no. The chamber is kind of in a different situation right now. We haven't been talking really about that, but I know if we were to bring it up, I'm sure even the businesses in the village, they, I believe, would probably be for somewhat trying to see if we can keep that art somewhere. I mean, they believe in, protecting the arts, but it hasn't honestly been a topic with us. We're kind of been, how do we keep our, chamber in business? And we've kind of had other things that have been happening.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I think our last public comment is, I see in the chat, Patrick D. Please state your name and address for the record.
And then Belinda, we have
Patrick Duffy. My address in Fair Oaks is 7973 Park Drive, across the street from the Plaza Park. I've just rented the little art studio behind the theater building there. And so I am an artist. I'm also a theater person. I've worn both hats, and well, many. I'm a curator, archivist, all but I was really looking forward to the Chicken Festival. Really, really looking forward to the Chicken Festival. I'm really impressed. I live in Rancho. I just moved up here this spring, and I was completely disappointed in the lack of a festival in the park. Love the chickens. Have some across the street too, in the garden there. I've really enjoyed the comments that I've heard. Mr. Korkos and Joe Maloney, everybody's, even the slightly opposing, it's all about the character of this town. And the character of the town, I'm from Berkeley, and I appreciate wonderful architecture, and I really appreciate theater. I worked at the Berkeley Rep. I worked at a lot of theaters. I did sets. I do set design. So having a really good flyway and a good place to store things, a great way to do the electrics and all of that necessary. A good dressing room and some ventilation and air conditioning, very necessary. I worked for the Shakes. It's really hard to do it all on the fly in an outdoor theater. It's really fun if you're 18 and you're just getting into it. But if you have to do it over and over again during the summer season, it's probably not. So I see where that would be a really good thing. I'm not looking forward to the kind of disruption that would be entailed by this kind of construction across the street from my little studio. But as a theater person, I'd sort of be in favor of it. As far as the destruction of artwork, I'm never in favor of that. Particularly, Mr. Korkos' idea of selling it as like pieces of the Berlin Wall is brilliant. I like that. Again, the Berkeley Rep, we always make bricks to sell to raise money for these projects, to then put in a wall, but then has to be demolished when you expand the theater. That happens. The same brick that I bought for the Berkeley Rep, of course, got torn up when they changed when they built the next theater to make it larger, from 600 to another few hundred seats, so more people could come enjoy the brilliance of live theater. And that's really kind of what's important here, and keeping the character of the town. If you have something that people are coming to and really wanting to come to in the town, to walking distance, then the parking is really a problem, and people get in bad fights over that stuff, and that's something that has to be dealt with. I agree with everybody on all these points, and I
Patrick.
just thank you for all the perspectives.
Patrick, thank you very much. Unfortunately, your 3 minutes is over, so we will have to move on to the next. Thank you.
I timed it. Oh, sorry.
So Delinda, I'd like to chip in a few thoughts.
We still,
Ralph, we still have a couple more.
Oh, we have more.
Yes, I think we're nearing the end though, so don't worry. We'll definitely have board discussion at the end of public comment. I see that Keith Walter would like to speak.
Chair, he may be the one on the phone. There's somebody on the phone with their hand raised as well.
Yeah, they're going to be next. I'm not seeing Keith. Keith.
Oh, there's Keith. He's right below.
Keith, you need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay.
I'm Keith Walter, and I live at 8071 Livorno Way, and I own the building at the corner of Fair Oaks in California, across from the park. Couple of comments. One is I certainly believe that the new theater plans are wonderful, and I look forward to their speedy completion. I support Leon's idea regarding trying to save the artwork. I share some of the speakers' astonishment at how expensive everything we're doing seems to be. The idea that it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to tear down a wall seems a little bit absurd to me. But maybe that's just where we are, especially having renovated recently. I understand dealing with the county and the state can be challenging. And I also just want to echo the thoughts I think I've heard from several people, which is many of us move to or live in Fair Oaks because Fair Oaks we feel is a unique, special place. And change is kind of scary because I didn't move to Fair Oaks because I wanted to be another Folsom or another Auburn or another Disneyland. And so I think as we make these changes, it's almost impossible to do too much outreach. It's almost impossible to sort of do too much consensus building. And I think we have to be careful that in our interest to modernize, to bring new business in, which is really important to the village, that we don't end up destroying the character of the village in the process and everything that makes it special. And probably most importantly, I have never lived in a place where there has been so much volunteer activity. And I'm reminded that things like the Chicken Festival and things like the theater performances and things like, you know, almost everything that we do in the village didn't originate with the Parks District. They originated with volunteers or individuals who brought them to the Parks District. And I think all of you who may not have been on the board forever need to keep in mind that the Parks District isn't the only place that has good ideas, and you need to continue to look for ways to involve the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walter. Or do we have anyone else that would like to speak? Or Ian, I thought you said we had maybe someone on the phone.
We do have somebody on the phone, so I'm going to unmute them, and then please just state your name and address. And if you're on the phone, you might have to hit *6 to unmute yourself now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Terry O'Donnell. I live at 4235 Earnscliffe Avenue here in Fair Oaks. I have lived here for almost 40 years, and I just want to go on record that I support Kim and Leon's ideas about preserving our artwork. And again, with Keith's idea that we need to preserve our quaint village that has been developed since, what is it, 1895, and belonging to 4 organizations, 2 of which are quite historical. The Women's Thursday Club of 1902 and our wonderful Fair Oaks Historical Society. It's all about preserving our village and preserving what we've done so far. And that is why I would like us to consider and look into the idea of doing something with our artwork and not destroying it and throwing it away. The other thing is, it's a lovely building. I love your building. And again, I agree with others. We also need to find a way of providing parking for all those wonderful people who want to visit our village. So I just want to let you know, I agree with a lot of thoughts, but I do want us to maybe continue talking a little bit more so that we don't look back someday, 50 years, 100 years, and say, why didn't we do such and such to our lovely village that we worked so hard to get this far. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you for calling, and we really appreciate your time as well. So at this time, I'd like to open it up for board discussion. So Ralph, I know you said you wanted to speak.
Yeah, I come to this with a variety of hats, a variety of interests. You know, like you, I designed the Rotary Memorial Arbor, and that goes. And I was president of the Historical Society when we buried the time capsule, and that's going to have to be moved. That was 1995. It's supposed to sit there until 2095, but we're going to disturb the thing. You know, and I've been on the park board 20 years. I remember 13 years ago, when we first came up with the idea of upgrading the amphitheater, and we talked about the art at that time. you know, and I got another hat. I've worked with Hugh on the Bluff the Bluff acquisition, the Bluff Donor Plaza, and I know the emotion that that he feels losing his artwork. So, you know, without really addressing the quality of the building and the outreach and all of that, which I think can always be better. And, you know, having been in the Historical Society for, you know, what, 37 years or something, long time, I understand the character of the village and the uniqueness of our community. Okay, before we built the amphitheater, the telephone building and the Robinson building was there where the amphitheater is, and that's where the stagecoach went into Sacramento a couple times every day. So there's a lot of things that get changed over time. What I wanted to suggest in a proposal I made to Hugh, and I think I've raised it with the board and some other people, is a form of mitigation, kind of like Leon's. I've suggested that we could photograph Hugh's art intact, not chop it up, not move the panels around, but I understand Hugh had a story to his art. It has a continuity, and I'd like to see it photographed. I'd like to give Hugh the opportunity to enhance the artwork, reproduce it as, you know, to enhance it, and then reproduce it so we can put it in the new building, the new community center there, as an interpretation of what's come before. The development of the plaza from an empty, weedy lot that was going to be an auto dismantling station to the purchase and acquisition of that by the Fair Oaks Civic Group back, I think, in the 20s or 30s. Along with how the Veterans Memorial Amphitheater arose in the 70s. I was talking to Lois Frazier, her husband Wendell was instrumental, I think, in getting that off the ground. And then Barbara and Tony Sestito have sustained it in more recent years. So, you know, I appreciate all the culture there, and I appreciate Hugh's art, and I think we need to photograph it, reproduce it. And I'd also like to see, we've created a venue in the parks and in the renovation of the clubhouse, the renovation of both parks, the millions of dollars we're going to spend on the whole kit and caboodle there, to make it a venue for performing and visual arts. And we have a lot of opportunities for sculpture, pavement art, murals. I'd like to dedicate at least one of those to Hugh and commission Hugh to do a historical mural, maybe not as big as the Carmichael mural, but something that could give kind of a depiction of Fair Oaks from the days of the Maidu Indians here living along the American River, through the mining that went on here, through the colonists who came here November 20th, 1895 to buy property and set up the community of Fair Oaks, through the freeze of 32, through the depression here when a lot of people worked for the aggregate plant down in Natomas, you know, up to the suburbanization. I'd like to see that story depicted in art. And I think we've got an artist we could commission with a sole source to do that. I don't want to waste our money, our time, and our friendships and everything, you know, doing legal battles over things. I think I've come to the conclusion we must do the building, we must demolish the old theater, but how can we do that in a way that, as John said, builds for the next generation, builds for the future? Because, you know, people disturbed a lot of things in Fair Oaks creating the town. You just have to look at the old pictures of when this was mostly open space with lots of big, beautiful blue oak trees. And most of those are gone, but we have something different. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Do we have any other board members that'd like to speak?
I would. One thing that I think is really important to know is that the board really has cared, and I personally have cared about this entire process, marketing and communication and communicating this out. I want to make it clear that we have not been trying to do this quickly or behind anyone's back or while people are out of town or during COVID. This has been going on pre-COVID. We had most of our meetings pre-COVID. If you aren't subscribed on forpd.org, if you don't read your roost that is sent out, check the American River Messenger. Social media now, I have to tell you, in the 21st century, this is where marketing, a lot of it is. It is on Facebook. It is on Instagram. We're on all of those, as the ED of the Fair Oaks Chamber also mentioned in the comments. Follow them as well at fairoakschamber.com. We are actively wanting you all to be part of this. We actively want the community to be involved in this. This is something that we all on the board care about, making sure that it is the community's will, the community's desire. And as Director O'Farrell says, and it's something that's very important to me, the next generation, what's continuing? We have to continually think about that next generation and think about how can we continue to add. The other aspect is that we're not only creating a theater. If you look at the plans, if you look at what Mike posted, it is truly a community center meeting room spaces, multiple rooms, dividers, as well as a theater that can be closed and open. So it's a great space for meeting, black box. I mean, there's so many uses for this space. It's not, it's enlarging the footprint and the design mission revival. It goes beautifully with our village. So we are very intentional about keeping the character. We're very intentional about making sure that this is something that is so beneficial for everyone on a large level, of all ages. And to address the parking, if you look at our plan, I encourage you, I don't know, Mike, I know we're early in the stage, we're only about 35%, but in our plan, we have lots of parking throughout the park. We're adding, Mike, can you say how much parking currently we're adding?
Yeah, right now we're adding 20 spaces to what we currently have. We do have to meet the design requirements that the county has as parking. So it is an issue that's being addressed. And so far they've been supportive of that number.
Yeah, wonderful. And, the other aspect is I completely agree with Director Carhart as far as, and I think all the directors probably do, of getting beautifully done photographs of Hugh's mural. I think that is absolutely what should be done, and have a beautiful place of prominence in the new theater. I think that will be a lovely, lovely thing to really honor that piece of work. However, we have to remember again that we want to build something that the whole community can use. And right now, the space that we have being beyond ADA, uncompliant, we deserve, I think the community deserves to have a bigger space. And that's what people have said at our meetings throughout the past year and a half. So those are my comments.
Yeah, and I'll just echo Director Irwin, Director Carhart, Director O'Farrell's statements. This is something that is definitely not taken lightly. We understand the importance of preserving the community. I've lived here for my entire life, so I'm 48 years old, and it is something that is definitely important for all of us to take into heavy consideration. I appreciate everybody's comments. I've learned a lot from a lot of the different comments. Leon, I think that's a great idea. I'm in full support of trying to figure out a pragmatic way of doing that isn't cost prohibitive. I would love to do something like that. That is excellent. And Ralph's comments on taking the pictures and putting something really new and modern into this new facility that pays homage to Hugh's work is another phenomenal idea, and I think should be deeply considered as well. And as far as what Director O'Farrell was saying, it's one of those things. I have 2 young kids, and we do have to think about the next 50 years, and we can't just I understand the propensity to want to hold on to what we have right now, but we also have to take into consideration the next generation and the generation after that. And right now we have an opportunity to really make a big difference. We've been blessed with this money from Measure J, and the Measure J language was fairly clear on where that money was going to go and what was going to be done with that, and the community voted to pass that measure. And that's what we're trying to do, is responsibly make that happen for the community at large. So I appreciate everybody's comments, and that's all I wanted to say, and thank you.
Thank you, Darren. And not to go on or drag this on much longer, but I agree with my colleagues on that. I think it's possible to be respectful and of the art that we currently have, while at the same time making theater art accessible to everyone. So the ADA improvements in my mind are very important, just as important as finding a way to respect Hugh's mural, and I'd like to have further discussions essentially on how we can make that happen. And so, because I think it's very clear, everyone that is here, I keep hearing over and over and over again how important it is to have art in our community, and really we're just looking for a way to improve the wonderful place that we all call home. So again, thank you everyone for participating tonight and coming and listening and figuring out the tech side of it all. I really appreciate your time. So at this point, I would like to ask if anyone has what we were looking for essentially, or what the board report was asking for, was essentially a motion to authorize the district administrator to initiate the process of moving forward on the project.
So Linda, I'd like to
make a change to it. I mean, we can.
Yes, I would like to have a motion that's contingent upon working out an amiable solution, perhaps to mitigate some of the impact of losing the in-place mural. You know, while I don't relish being the one to make a motion to destroy Hugh's work, I think it's inevitable, and I guess I would make a motion that we authorize Mike, our administrator, to move ahead with that, provided that we negotiate some kind of mitigating agreement between us and the artist to preserve at least the concept of the art that was there.
Well,
can I ask a question? What if you can't do that, Ralph?
Yeah.
What if you can't do that?
The motion would be to attempt to do that, to attempt to come up with a amiable negotiated mitigation. If not, proceed ahead.
Could we?
That needs to be worded into a better motion.
Couldn't we all agree at this moment to that we will? Ralph, would it work for you if we agreed that we would have it professionally photographed, and agreed that we will hang the photograph in the office? Could we just all agree to that right now as part of the motion?
Or someplace within.
Yeah, I think that's good. Would you like to formulate that kind of motion? I think you're on top of it.
Yeah.
But we also, Raymond James, I mean, can we keep it broad so that way we can have input into what that exactly will be?
So something like a feature of the mural in contained in the new amphitheater project, something like that. It's horribly worded, but
I was going to say my vision of that would be, you know, there's a history to Plaza Park. There's a history to Veterans Memorial Amphitheater. There's a history to Hugh's art. And I'd like to combine that in maybe like a lobby display that includes depiction of all of his art, obviously at a smaller scale than what it is now. It'll be more crisp when you reduce it. And to explain the history of the new facility that people are coming into, that it has a past. This spot has a past. So that's what I envision. Maybe it's in the lobby, maybe it's somewhere else in the new community building.
Well, Ralph, I appreciate that and I support that. I like the idea of the history of the site. The mural it's a wonderful piece of art, but it is not the site. So what I don't want to see happen is somehow we get hung up over negotiating something that is non-negotiable.
Yeah, can we say that? Let's make a motion that includes featuring Mr. Gorman's art in some place of the theater. Can we all get behind that?
Fine.
reproducing the images that he has intact somewhere in the new facilities.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve, or let's see. Yeah, approve recommendation for artwork in the Plaza Park. And Ralph, tack that last bit on for me.
We're authorizing the process to start, provided we photograph and reproduce
Hugh Gorman's
art with, of course, his it has to be his approval and everything, but we work with him to reproduce it somewhere appropriate in the new facilities, to save the concept, to save the image.
His approval. Are we saying his approval on where it goes? His approval on
No, his since he's the artist, I think we owe it to him that whatever reproduction of it is as whole as it is. In other words, the panels all together, the panels in sequence the way he conceived it. We're trying to save the message he had in his artwork. I know it's not great for the artist, but it beats having it demolished or, whatever.
Can we delegate this to the district administrator? Because all of a sudden I see money growing on trees, and I want to make sure that, that Mike can come back with a report on how to do this, how we can accomplish this within a reasonable time and within, a reasonable amount of money, so that we can move forward with the greater project itself.
I think you hit it on the head. We're authorizing him to move forward. He's heard what our concerns and what our wishes and visions are. Let him be authorized to try to work out an arrangement that's satisfactory to the artist and us.
Yeah, I was checking that back to the board.
With the key being to try to work out an arrangement.
There you go.
That's expressly intent. Okay, so Justin, do you have?
Try that one more time, Raymond James.
Raymond, I'll second your recommendation.
My recommendation. Thank you.
Your motion.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the board members on the motion to authorize the administrator to begin working on somehow respecting and integrating the art into the new theater?
As long as Jennifer can capture it, we're good.
Okay.
Jen, do you feel good about? Do you want to read back what you've written, or are you good? Okay, she's on mute, but I think she's got it.
I saw fingers. I thought I saw thumbs up, so I think that's good.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, hearing that there are none, we will move forward with the project. And in the meantime, we will work with district administrator is going to work with Mr. Gorman in making sure that the mural and his art is incorporated somehow into the theater. So we will, and thank you again, everyone, for participating tonight and speaking to us. It was very helpful hearing from everyone. If you like, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. If not, it's okay too. So we are going to move to the next item, which is agenda item 9.2, discussion and possible action regarding approval of request to fund the Fair Oaks Bike Park project proposed by our community partner, Family Free Ride. And I believe there is a board report by Nick Davison.
Davidson, yes. I'm going to let Nick take this one on, and I'll chime in as needed, but Nick will be presenting this board report.
Good evening, board. My name is Nick Davison, Recreation Supervisor with the district. I'm here tonight to present a list of projects that were proposed to staff by Family Free Ride. And two of those items we are requesting to be funded. So as Delinda mentioned, Family Free Ride is a community partner group, our newest community partner group that oversees programming and maintenance and further improvements to the bike park. Garrett from Family Free Ride presented 7 total projects to staff that he would like to get funded by Measure J funds. Those projects I will go through briefly, and then upon the end of my report, Mike may have a few comments, but I know Garrett definitely wants to say a few things as well. But if you look on attachment A in your report, or what I could do here too is potentially share my screen if that's best. So if Ian gives me permission, I will do so.
Give it a shot.
So, no, it is what it is.
All right, I think you can see it there. So this attachment A was presented to staff by Family Free Ride. Project number 1 is a sprinkler system with a cost estimate of $10,000 to $15,000. This sprinkler system or irrigation system would be to help the maintenance of the park. The dirt features of the park, the rollers and the berms, need constant water to be able to keep their forms without deteriorating. Currently, we don't have an adequate system over there. Right now, it's just a hose where volunteers are trying to hose down the rollers and the berms as they can. Unfortunately, it's just not enough for it to be manually done. So we're looking for an automated system that could be ran throughout the day and the evening, or times throughout the day, and then also in the evening. Recently, actually after this board report was written, we had a fortunate water leak in the park. It's not typical that we have a fortunate water leak in the park, but adjacent to the bike park, where the old dog park is, we were able to locate a valve box that we did not know was there. And part of the estimate was trying to trench to a further away valve box. Having this one a lot closer to the bike park will actually save a good amount of money on the estimate of this project. We're looking to save probably about half of the estimate. So we're looking maybe around $5,000 to $7,000. And we originally were going to request that this project be done by a licensed contractor. We may potentially be now able to do it in-house with that valve box being located closer. So staff is in support of the sprinkler system. We do feel like it is a necessary item to have at the bike park. Request number 2 is a shade structure. If you've been out to the bike park at all, you know, or you will know that there is not one tree on the footprint of the bike park, so there is no shade for the summer heat. So even though we do think this, would be a great amenity, we are not currently in support of it at this time due to budget constraints and other capital projects that are on our roadmap. But it is something that, if funds were to become available in the future, we would like to entertain the shade structure. The cost estimate on that is $5,000 to $7,000. And Family Free Ride got this estimate from NTK Fabrications. Request number 3 was entrance, arch, and gate. Really, this is kind of 2 different requests, or at least we broke it up into 2 different requests. The entrance arch, as you can kind of see from those diagrams, would go over the current opening of the bike park. It would be done by, or the estimate that was done by NTK Fab was $7,000 to $10,000. That's also, I believe, including the gate. The NTK Fabrication is a friend of Garrett, and he would potentially have some leftover scrap metal to keep the funds down on an archway that you see there in the picture. But again, right now with the current budget constraints and future capital projects, we are not recommending that at this time, but we are recommending the gate project. We do feel like it is very important to have a gate to be able to close off the bike park for two reasons mainly. One is for during maintenance. It's very nice to have that closed off during maintenance so you don't have kids coming in there and potentially having a safety issue. The other important reason is inclement weather. Even though we like to have some water in the dock or in the bike park, it's also bad to have kids riding on it or adults riding on it when it's too wet. So it will further damage the features, the dirt features of the bike park. So being able to close it would save a lot on maintenance costs in the future. Let's see here. And so we are recommending that we do move forward with the gate there. The project number 4, or request number 4, was a community board. A community board, staff does like the idea of a community board. We think it could be very beneficial to post notices for the community, kind of about volunteer days, maybe some rides that are coming up, some events, stuff like that. We are in support of a community board. However, at this time, we would like to delay that project and look at it at a potential later date due to the fact we're looking at putting info style boards in other parks, and we want to make sure that we have the same style in all our parks with the community boards. So we did inform Family Free Ride if they want to go ahead and purchase their own community board, they are welcome to, just with the idea that it would potentially be removed once we find our style guide for our info boards for our parks. So at this time, we are not recommending it, but we would be interested in revisiting this at a later point. Request number 5 is a storage shed or a container. Primarily, the request was for a Connex or a shipping container to be placed out at the dock, or sorry, the bike park, to hold maintenance style equipment to be able to maintain the bike park. We definitely understand that tools are necessary to maintain the bike park. However, storage containers or Connex boxes have kind of historically not been a look that we like to see in the park. And that response has been consistent with other partner groups that has requested Connex boxes out at the park. We are in support of supporting the idea of a communal storage facility that looks similar to our facilities that are already out there, like the restrooms and snack bar area, that could be utilized by multiple community partner groups that are looking for storage and to hopefully be able to accommodate their storage needs. So for lacrosse, Little League, and soccer, and of course, Family Free Ride. So we are not recommending a storage shed or a shipping container to be out there at this time, but we are in support of looking for a facility in the future. Request number 6 is a barbecue area. The cost estimate on this is kind of to be determined because the labor would be free as Family Free Ride is looking to volunteer their efforts to pour the concrete and then install a barbecue, but there could be some hidden costs as far as rerouting irrigation or whatever it may be in that area. Plus there's also continual maintenance cost of barbecue area to keep it safe and sanitary. We are not currently in favor of a barbecue area within the bike park. There's limited space within the bike park, so without it being built out completely, we're not sure if it's a good idea to put that in at this time. We also are concerned about the lack of use to put it in there to see if really would be utilized by that many people. There's also potential for a safety hazard with a hot barbecue and maybe a kid trying to lean up against it when they're on their bike. So we are not in support of that project. And then lastly, project number 7 is a bike maintenance stand. So these are cool little features to have. We are concerned about continual maintenance. Mike has had some of these put in at some other parks that he's done at previous park districts, and he said the tools often get stolen, and there is some continual maintenance on the pump itself to have to continually to repair. And also just kind of due to current budget restraints, we are not recommending that project at this time. So total, if you were to approve all of the projects on the high side, you're looking about 38,000. That's on the high side. Again, we'd hope to get any project that we do much lower than the estimated cost there. Staff is recommending to fund the irrigation and the gate project using in lieu fees rather than Measure J. We want to postpone any expenditures for Measure J until current projects are defined and any additional unfunded projects are vetted through community input and board approval. In your board report, you can see the projects that we currently have estimated, currently projects that are already completed, and we have a current remaining balance of $5,840,527 for projects, and that does not include a potential community center or La Vista site, which could either increase or decrease our costs. So lastly, just our staff recommendation is to approve funding but not to exceed $25,000 utilizing the district's in lieu fees with partner contribution of a minimum of $5,000 to complete 2 of the requested projects by Family Free Ride, which is the irrigation system and the rolling gate. I do want to note as well, if it is less than $25,000, the contribution of the community partner group would be less. Typically what the board has gone with is a 20% of the total cost would be asked of our partner groups. That concludes my report. If you have any questions, you can fire away now, or we can have Garrett share his comments.
Just Nick, John O'Farrell, just so I understood you correctly, as you went through the report, the shade structure is something that if we had funding in the future, that would be in consideration. It's blistering hot out there, as you know.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if we had the money for it, and you know that Mike and you guys all felt comfortable with it, then yes, that would be an item that I think would be a need or want.
And also related to that project, when we do mobilize around Phoenix Park, whatever that mobilization looks like, whether it be softball fields, expanded bike park, whatever it might be out there, depending on what the board decides to do, there'll be more than likely another shade structure constructed at that point in time. And at that time, it would make sense fiscally to do both shade structures at once and to match the styles.
I agree. Thanks, Mike.
I'd like to chip in here. You know, I'm a big proponent of the bike feature that's there. I'm very supportive of that. I think it's a great recreational opportunity. But also as a professional landscape architect, and in reviewing a lot of the work we're having to do on some of our existing buildings, it's become apparent to me. For example, in the clubhouse, we have to tear out all the improvements we made to the bathrooms because they're totally not ADA acceptable. There's a lot of other things we've allowed the community to build, which turns out they don't meet code or they don't meet the county requirement. So when we start talking about structures, even when we're talking about irrigation systems, I think we need to make sure we have the right professionals, either registered landscape architects or registered architects, reviewing those or coming up with the design, at very least reviewing it and making sure that it meets all the requirements, because otherwise they could become liabilities to us. I just wanted to suggest, I think they've sold me on the idea they need the irrigation system. So that's not a question. With the shade structures and an irrigation system out there, I think that they could select some fast-growing shade trees, get those in the ground with a user group out there that cares about their facility. I think they could get some shade up within a short amount of time, and there are species that will do that. So I just wanted to suggest that that idea. And as far as the community board, whether or not we put that in right away, I think if they don't already have it, a rules board or a rules sign is always good. We have that at the dog park and the community gardens and everything. So I think that's something that we should help pay for also. So, you know, given those thoughts, I'm more than willing to give them the necessary money to accomplish those features that the staff is recommending.
Thanks, Ralph. And just to answer your question, yes, we do have a rules sign out there.
Are there, I could see our chat got really busy when I was looking at it. So I can see that there are a couple people that have been talking within the chat. And so I wanted to, if you are done, Nick, maybe we can, I'm going to open it up for public comment, and then we can have additional board discussion. So
I believe Garrett would like to speak as well.
I was gonna say, I saw that Garrett, and being the president of Family Free Ride, obviously you did the Exhibit A, which was very helpful. So thank you. So Garrett, if you'd like to go first, that'd be great.
Thank you, Chair Tamani. It was a pleasure to speak tonight in front of you all again. I know I've spoken to you a lot, so I appreciate all your time every time I come to talk to you about the bike park. So first off, I just kind of want to touch on why I'm coming to you here again tonight to ask for more money for the bike park. And, you know, working with Mike throughout the last year on this project, I've asked him, you know, about other projects and how much money goes into those. I'm like, you know, it can be a lot of money. And he explained to me, like, because there's a user group behind them that supports them, that needs them, right? Like Little League, like baseball or softball. So one of the reasons why I only asked for a small amount of money to get the pump track going initially was so I could start to build that user group. And I think that's happened. I think we've all seen, you know, in the short time that it's been open, there's just been a significant amount of users there to help build that user group that we need. So it might help the board and the district hopefully understand if we can consider this more of like a completion of the Fair Oaks Bike Park in its current footprint, completing it. It might give a better understanding or a better comparison of what the other park projects cost. So this is just a fraction, you know, 7% of what Swallowway is budgeted to cost. It's, you know, about 1% of what the softball field projects cost. So it's really an insignificant amount, the money I'm asking for. And it adds a lot of, you know, like the shade structure. It's a very important thing to have for people in the summer because everybody's outside underneath that oak tree that's there because it's so hot. If you've seen that, but it's very important for that shade structure. And then the other little things like the barbecue area. I know it was brought up in the staff report that there's not enough space, and I can show you the satellite imagery of the park, but there's a ton of space. It would basically be the same footprint as the that's already there where the picnic bench is. So there's lots of space. The other thing about the barbecue pits, there's 3 of them that are currently at Phoenix Park that are over in the southeast corner that are completely unused, and we would like to just repurpose those and bring them over. So the maintenance issue shouldn't be a problem because they're already there, and the cost wouldn't be a problem. It's just, and I can show you pictures of us barbecuing out there, you know, during our rides that we did. We brought our own barbecues out, so it would be used, and it really helps with that whole community aspect of hanging out, riding bikes, and barbecuing. I think that's what the park district is all about. So I think that barbecue area would be great. Wouldn't cost the district anything. I can also, let's see if, I can't really share my screen if Ian can enable it. The Connex box, and that's been an issue. I understand they don't look nice, but they're functional and they're not very expensive. They're functional because they're very tamper resistant. I wouldn't say tamper proof, but they're solid metal. You know, I understand the district has a plan for creating storage space possibly in the future, but we're doing maintenance now. And it's very hard. I have a 200-pound plate compactor in my garage that I have to carry out every time we want to do it. And this is something that we could be doing every week if it was there. It would really help with the maintenance. So the Conex boxes are already there that Little League uses. So I know that other groups have asked for storage containers and have been turned down. But I think because we do the maintenance like Little League does, I think it's a fair comparison that we could also have one. You know, I understand the tool stand that we're asking for could get vandalized and stolen. It happens very frequently. It'd be, you know, if it did, it'd be something that we could cover the cost of repairing. We could even cover the cost of putting it in if that's an issue. You know, we've done our fundraiser. We raised $8,000. I was hoping to use most of that money for the maintenance, the ongoing maintenance that we're using. But we are able, and there are other business partners out there that want to contribute more. I've talked to the Rotary Club. They're interested in contributing to the shade structure and possibly the entranceway arch and maybe even a sculpture. There's other businesses, and I even have our partner, Family Free Rides partner, is Fat Track, the Folsom Auburn Trails Riders Action Coalition. Matt Wetter is the president of that. He's on the line now. They have money that they want to contribute. So we're willing to contribute to make these projects happen. And on that note, one thing I've noticed talking to the contractors, they have to charge the park district a lot more than they would charge us. So in the district's request, as it sits, asking for the 20% contribution from Family Free Ride, I would ask that maybe the district would cover the cost of the gate and the irrigation and maybe another item, and we could cover a couple of the other items like the information station, the barbecue pit, and the maintenance stand, because then the district, you know, I think it's a better use of funds, and we can even work out the additional contributions to maybe cover the cost of the shade structure, because it's nice to have it now instead of waiting for a year or two when the other projects at Phoenix Park get done. I mean, you can see how much use the pump track's gotten because it was done.
Great, thank you.
So
that's past 3 minutes, so thank you.
Garrett, just may I ask you a question on that? So you just said, you know, maybe the district can do a couple, and you guys, I forget the exact word you just said, cover. I think you said that, cover that. When you say that, are you saying pay for us to install it, or are you saying you'll pay for the cost and you'll build it or put it up as well?
No, I mean, like, so the irrigation system would completely be covered by the park district.
Right. Got it. I'm
And
talking
also on that note,
cover. I'm talking about, you just said something, you got, like, the park district could pay for a couple things, and then you said that we could, meaning
Family Free Ride would
yes.
pay for a couple of the items on the list.
Okay, so, but I'm just trying to get clarification. When you say pay, do you mean pay for us to then install them, pay for us to put it, or are you saying you're going to pay for the stuff and then put it in as well? I just wanted to get clarification on what you meant.
Yes, Family Free Ride would pay for like the bike repair stand, the information station, and then the cost of the barbecue pit. And if the district allows, we would install it ourselves.
Mike, would we be able to allow them to do that, or would we have to install all of those things if they paid for it?
You know, we have let partners install things in the past, and even in my tenure here, we have required them to do a professional installation, you know, with plans and things like that, and they have performed in that. Everything from a piece of art over at the Fair Oaks Gardens to a garden shed over at the community gardens, and some work at the dog park. The part of the challenge is that we have always, the board has asked that the community group provide 20% of the project, 20% of hard cash. They all have provided some type of in-kind service or other things like that, but when they match, the board has required 20% hard match of the district's hard cost. So that's been your history in the past.
Yeah, that was my question is, you know, we fronted, what was it, $35,000-$40,000 to put the bike park in, and now we're looking at potentially another $30,000 or $40,000 to do these, like, what is the skin in the game that Family Free Ride has? Like, have they contributed? I haven't seen anything about them contributing back 20 or 25%, because most of our user groups, like if you want to put in a $40,000 deal and we agree to that, well, they're going to give the park districts back $10,000 hard cash as part of the agreement. Have we seen any of that?
From Family Free Ride, this is the first time we've done this project based. The actual installation of the track was fully board supported to do with district funds. Yeah.
Can I chip in too? You know, I was around when we started that sort of informal policy of expecting skin in the game, but it was usually for big things where there was already an established facility like tennis courts or community gardens or something. It's not a hard, fast rule, but we wanted skin in the game. And I think this group already puts a lot of skin in the game. I had some thoughts that maybe Garrett, you know, could kick around. You know, all the things you're talking about for storage and barbecues and things to bring out. What if you were to invest your skin in the game in some kind of mobile trailer or something that could be stored off-site or something and brought over when you need to do your maintenance or when you have group activities? Spend your money that way. Let us put in some professional quality things that with our money, like the irrigation system and you know, any structures, so that they're ours, so that they're designed properly. You know, when the theater festival came to us with ideas of doing more improvements to the theater festival, we hired an architect to come up with the plans for us, the conceptual plans. And it's proven to be very important, because a lot of times when we've done things ourselves, they're just not done safely to standard, and they create some kind of you know, potential liability or problems down the road. But what about that kind of idea, board, where if they could deal with this off-site storage of things that they bring, let them spend their money on that, a good enclosed trailer or something like that. I don't know if staff would let them store it one of the maintenance yards or something, but that could be a temporary solution until we maybe get a permanent community partners storage. And again, maybe the same thing with the shade. Can you do possibly a pop-up or things like that when you have events while your trees grow? You know, be creative. But I did want to throw in the idea that we really don't absolutely have to make the partners pay a lot of money, not when they're a brand new partner that is adding a facility that's really important to us. You know, we've been lucky sometimes when we put in the skate park, the Presbyterian Church paid for all of that and took up the liability for it, because it solved a problem for them and it created an opportunity, a recreational opportunity for us. So just that thought.
So Mike, just want to confirm, when we okayed the project to put in the bike park, we did not ask for 20% or a match for that. Is that correct? We said that we would pay for that entire thing. Okay. So, I mean, I definitely think if Mr. McDermott and the group wants to put in their own, you know, the tools to do the sign or the community board, and maybe to put in a barbecue, I don't necessarily see any issues with that if there is any with district, and I definitely would be in favor of supporting what the district has proposed as far as paying for those two items. I think those are great things and will add to the park.
I'd also like to add that I support staff's recommendation to do the sprinkler system, and then also the rolling gate. I think that's important to be able to close it. If it is possible to save money on the sprinkler system, I'd like to see the shade structure as well. So, because I agree. I mean, it's cooking out there. It's really hot, especially for the little guys. And so that would be something else I'd like to consider. But I agree. I think it's important to work together with our community partners on these projects.
So one other thing that I just jotted down here on this proposal is with a lot of our vendor groups, Garrett, you mentioned Little League, you mentioned tennis, softball. Those user groups provide pretty substantial income back to the district as far as rental fees and all that kind of stuff. So is there anything that we're talking about, as far as that goes?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
So that's a good point. On the other hand, so when I was looking at, and we went through the business partner agreement process, I used the Little League partner agreement as kind of like our model, right? And I noticed in there, and I'm not sure if the public knows this, but they pay $125 per month to have access to the fields, right? That's complete access. So you're talking about, I don't know how much the district makes off of that, right? So that there's three Little League fields that they pay for $125 a month for 3 or 4 months, right? A couple $1,000. Well, the whole public doesn't get to use those baseball fields while Little League is. And at the same time, we have a small little half of an outfield of a bike park that everyone gets to use year round, except after it rains. And we said we'd maintain it so that everybody in the public can use it. So I think the money that the district's getting for, a couple $1,000s for baseball to use the fields, but it keeps everybody else off of them. I think the public would rather, have access to the pump track year round. I mean,
yeah, the point Garrett makes, I don't know that we charge anybody anything for the rent, except maybe some of the more organized sports. I think the Little League was there before our park is Jim David Park, wasn't it? And we grandfathered it in. That payment probably just pays the water bill, if even that. I don't think we ask anything of the gardeners. We actually pay the theater $15,000 a year for improvements to our capital facilities. So I don't know there's a precedent to expect them to be revenue producing. The skate park doesn't produce revenue. I don't think the Sports Center gives us any money. So I think it would be inconsistent to expect the bike park to have fees or give us money.
I think the fact that they've raised, a decent amount, and Mr. McDermott's done, I believe, a really great job, and give you a lot of credit, raised a lot so far in a short amount of time and got a lot of people excited, involved. I think it shows a goodwill, and I think, please continue doing that. Please continue raising money. Please continue doing things to, just be the great community partner that the bike park has already, become. Right.
If we tried to create a recreational opportunity from scratch, I don't think we can do better than they did for us.
Thank you.
No, I'll admit it's been great. I mean, it's I'm not negative on the bike park. I'm a big supporter of the bike park. I just had some questions that I know that, when dealing with the garden and different things that, there's been a little bit of, more of a little bit more skin in the game on their part.
Just I could chime in real quick on kind of Darren's and Ralph's comments there. The sports user groups, they do pay a monthly fee per field. So Little League pays the $125 per field per month, as well as soccer and lacrosse. Yes, Horticultural Center and gardens are not currently paying anything, but the sports user groups are.
So let's move forward. How would
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the expenditure of up to $25,000 for the staff recommended items. And Delinda, if you'd like, I could see paying for the shade structure, provided that those things are properly permitted and approved, designed, permitted, and approved. That's my motion.
I will second.
Is there any other board discussion, questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing that there are none, we'll be making some improvements to the bike park.
Thank you, Chairman.
Just a little clarification on that motion. It was not to exceed 25,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Can I, just one clarification though, because on the staff report was asking for 20%. Is that still part of the motion that was passed? Because from my understanding,
I think we'd still like your money.
Yeah, it's
What?
I think we supported that, right?
Yeah.
I support the staff report. I agree.
Staff
with the
report, yeah, the staff report plus the overhead shade structure and their financial recommendation.
So yes, the 20%. But that amount is to be determined, obviously, once things are priced out and stuff. So I'm sure you'll be working with Mike and Nick. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, let's move to our next item. So our next item is item 9.3, which is discussion and possible action regarding the appointment of new bond oversight committee members. And Mike has prepared a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you. The recommendation here is to appoint Garrett McDermott and Diana Storo to serve on the Bond Oversight Committee as recommended by the Community Resource Development Committee. The Bond Oversight Committee was formed in 2019, and since then, 2 committee members have resigned due to personal obligations. In August of 2020, the board directed staff to open the application process up to fill those 2 vacant positions. The Community Resource Committee met on September 9th to review the 4 applications that we did receive and have recommended that Garrett McDermott and Diana Storo be appointed to serve on the board Bond Oversight Committee, and their applications are attached to the board report.
Is it premature to make a motion to approve the staff report?
No.
Oh. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seconded.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, hearing that there are none, all in favor of the motion to adopt?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Well,
Welcome aboard. Watch what you asked for.
Okay, we're gonna move to our last item on the agenda tonight, which is discussion and possible action regarding the issuance of a request for qualifications for employee benefit analysis services. So I believe, is this Jennifer? Yes?
Am I unmuted now?
You are.
I am. Great. Thank you. Okay, so I'm Jennifer Larkin. I'm the Administrative Services Manager for the district. And as you all know, the district spends about $300,000 a year on employee benefits. We do provide group health, dental, vision, and life insurance to our full-time staff. Most of our staff do currently take those benefits. We have a couple people that don't. But in the time that I've worked here, we have never really looked at those benefits, the structure, and looked to see if there's anything else out there that might fit our needs, that might be a little more cost effective, or that the structure might be a little more efficient. And so Mike and I have been talking for a while now about looking to see if there's a consultant or some company out there that we could get to do that for us. The hope would be that we would find a few different companies and then issue a formal request for proposal, find out how much it's going to cost us, and then go from there and see if it's something that, you know, we want to budget for to do probably for next fiscal year. So this is just really the first step in the process, and we just need your permission to go ahead and release the RFQ, and it is attached to the staff report so you can see what the scope would be. And that's it. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
I'll make a motion to approve item 9.4, issuance of request for qualifications for employee benefits analysis services.
Seconded.
Any other comments or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
So there we go. RFQ for benefits. So now we will, we're moving 9/5 to October as discussed at the beginning of the meeting. Let's go to 10, which is, or 10-1, items from the Board of Directors. Shall we start? John, do you have anything tonight? Director O'Farrell?
None. Thank you though for asking.
Director Mounts?
I have nothing at this point. Thank you.
Director Irwin?
Nothing this evening.
Okay. And Director Carhart? You're on mute.
He has a story.
Am I there? Yeah, I'll give you the long historical story. No, I have one concern, and that was, it may be addressed later, but looking at the bond budget and how we're spending our money, I've talked to Mike about maybe we need to value engineer some of the things we're doing to determine how we can get enough money to fulfill our commitments on repairing or replacing McMillan Center, as well as, you know, getting the softball fields in. So I hope that gets on the agenda soon, because I think we need to deal with our appetite is bigger than our budget. That's it.
All right, thank you. And I do not have anything tonight. So we'll move to items from staff. Jennifer? No. Katie? Nope. Is Sean on here? I didn't see him earlier. No, not tonight. Okay, so Mike, do you have anything to talk about?
Yeah, just, and Sean did give me a couple of things to share. First of all, the garbage cans at Miller Park have been replaced. That was a concern a couple of meetings ago. Just wanted to bring that back to you and say those cans are now in place, and hopefully we are taking care of our garbage at Miller Park. I do have a little update on La Vista. I just got notification yesterday of a meeting Friday to discuss a possible lease to purchase or purchase for the La Vista site. So that project is still moving along. I'm sure, engaging the board members that were involved in it, which I believe was Delinda and John, once we get past the staff work on it and we start getting into the political side of it. So right now we're just in the staff work determining if this will move forward politically or not. But we are moving along, which is nice to know, and it is happening.
When you say the political process, is there resistance on the part of San Juan?
There doesn't seem to be. It's just a matter of, what's the timing for getting together with the boards? Is there an appetite for selling the property, long-term leasing the property? Are the school buildings part of it or not? All those types of things.
So the term sheet, basically.
Yeah. Once we get into the heavy work, then we pull you all back in.
Okay.
So, all right. Then Director Carhart mentioned it, but I am going to request that we set a special board meeting sometime early October so I can present to you the current estimated budgets for the projects. They are going over as they had from the prior approved estimated budgets, and so we need to have that discussion, and I need your approval to continue on with these projects. And some of that may be on value engineering, as Director Carhart mentioned. Either way, those projects are still going to be over budget, but how far over budget will be one of those things we need to determine. So I would request that the board accept a possible special meeting sometime early October.
Okay.
And at that point too, you will see the new cost estimations for the amphitheater, which we do have now. And then we should have a little more defined cost for the clubhouse at that point in time. And that is all I have.
Okay. Thank you. So now we are going to enter into closed session to do the public employee performance evaluation for our district administrator. So we will be keeping the meeting, the board members will be entering into a private room via Zoom to discuss this matter. And then when we are done with the matter, we will then return to we will reopen the board meeting and then close the meeting for the evening. So in order to do the closed session though, I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, so
And-
Ian, if you can work your magic and somehow put us in a
Room.
Like,
Going in.
Here we go.
We'll also be stopping the live stream for anybody who's watching on there. And for everybody else, we're here. If anybody really wants to, we can unmute and have a quick chat.
You know any jokes, Ian?
Ian, you're like the man behind the curtain.
I know. Can't see him, only hear him.
Kimberly Patillo obviously does not want to show her face tonight.
Sorry, Garrett, there you go. You're good, Garrett. Everybody else, if I can just unmute people.
So excited to be on the Bond Oversight Committee. Gary, can't wait to work with you.